Hi everyone, I'm Vito. I'm the founder here at Atarimo, and today we're with Rosie from Wolf Designs, and we're going to talk about Rosie's experience productizing her services and using Atarimo as the method of collaborating with clients, gathering content, and even more interestingly, through the care plans, as you called it, like those little bubbles, right? So we're going to explore all of this. But first of all, how are you, Rosie? Thanks for joining me.
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me.
So, how about we start by you introducing yourself a little bit? Tell us about your agency and how did you get into this game?
Okay, so I'm Wolf Design and I specialise in websites for pet businesses. It was an organic niche for me. It was a very natural way it happened because I was a professional dog walker for 12 years in
Right.
Southwest London. So I made our website and then I made a website for somebody else and then I made another one for someone else because obviously people in the local area, when we started many years ago, not many people had websites. And we came along, we were like, right, we want to do this really properly, run it as a proper business and everything. Because it wasn't at that point dog walking, it was all a bit more, bit of a side hustle type thing.
Right.
So yeah, I just started really naturally doing it. Previous to that, I've had lots of different businesses myself, and I've always sort of made websites for the businesses and taught myself along the way. But at this point, it sort of turned into something else. I think as the tools made website design and the page builders started coming out, it was all a bit more accessible and a bit more doable. And I found it much easier to get what's up here down into what I wanted to on the screen without a complete headache. So yeah, there's a couple of areas in Southwest London where on the first and second pages are all the websites that I've made for people in the area. And someone came to me for one recently, and I was like, I can do you one, but ranking's going to be a bit tricky because you're competing with all my others that I've made as well. So that's how I did it. And yeah, I just sort of went along and at one point we moved from London down to the South Coast, and the balance tipped from the dog business into the website design. So it's been really a really lovely organic journey and one that I very, very much enjoyed. But the niche has been absolutely fantastic, really, really great.
So this is a really something that is interesting because I've been doing these case studies and talking to our users for a couple of years now, and most people don't niche down, even though the biggest piece of advice that people give to agency owners is to niche down. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about this. What made you, or I know that a lot of agencies are kind of scared of losing business by focusing in on a specific industry or type of client. So how did you get past this false belief?
I think for me, because so I read all the theory behind it. When people started asking me for websites and I started making them and I started looking into website design as an industry and I might need some contracts for this. I remember spending a lot of time researching about doing this for other people, because doing it for yourself and your own businesses is very different. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it properly. So yeah, I remember doing lots of research, and at the time, I was reading things about care plans and about niching and about all of this, and I was just like a sponge, just sort of soaking it all up. I remember in the early days, I was reading a lot of Paul Jarvis as well, and a lot of what he was saying was making sense. I didn't make a decision to niche. I was reading the theory, so I was reading all the articles and the blog posts and everything. So, but I didn't make the decision. It literally happened just as it did, because it sort of snowballed, like one person would go, oh yeah, oh brilliant. And then when I eventually, I'd already got quite a few clients under my belt without even having my own website designer website, So I already had a portfolio to go on there. So it just happened like this. But I have to say, it's been really interesting, because I think the main thing that is really scary, or must be really scary for people, is they go, oh, but you're limiting the amount of people that you serve. And that is true. It's true. I mean, I make non-furry websites as well through referrals. So it doesn't stop people coming to me and asking for a yoga website. But it makes your you're marketing to less people, but you're like laser focusing in on this audience, right? So my audience building and my social media marketing and my connections and who I'm working with, all of that, I feel like has been so much easier because it's all been for this. And I haven't done Facebook ads or anything like that yet. I keep meaning to do it, but I don't really need to. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait till I do. But you've got this smaller audience. So it's so much easier to find them because, well, I was hanging out in the groups anyway because of the dog walking, right? So it just, it's just amazing. It's really interesting now because, you know, when you take a step out of your business and you look at what you're doing and you look at the theory behind it, I can see the theory in practice and how it works.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, you know, oh, Rosie, it's so amazing how it works. I'm fascinated by how the process works and how it's all meant to fit together, and when people say in a blog post, it makes it easier, you can do this and you can do that, I'm like, yes, it really does. It's this in practice. It's bonkers to watch the actual process and the marketing process and the connecting process and how it works. And I think, sorry, go on.
I agree 100%. Well, we were running the agency. I started as a generalist, you know, because like you're saying, you're just getting referrals from friends and family and friends of friends and friends of friends of friends, and that's kind of how that's how the ball started rolling. But then I realized that we had a bunch of charities that or non-profits that just happened to be our clients, and we enjoyed working with them. So again, the transition was pretty smooth into serving this type of audience because you know them, you know what they need, and so you get that edge, you know, over all of the other agencies that are trying to serve everyone. And like you're saying, we were just doing, if someone came, at least at the beginning, eventually we said no. But in the beginning, during the niching down process, if someone needed another website or we got a referral from someone, yeah, sure, you know, why not? But it really is. It makes it allows you to have a message. When you're just an agency building websites, there is really not much that you can do to differentiate at all, because you know, it's just a commoditized service nowadays. But yeah, I love it. It's the theory works.
It really means that you can help people. Like, that's the thing I love about it, because I know the industry. I know exactly what a dog trainer is going to want on their website.
Right,
like
exactly,
all my online and offline friends, they're all a dog groomer or a dog trainer, some sort of pet business. You know, I'm literally in the industry, and that for me is the main thing about niching as well. If you haven't just plucked it out of thin air and you know nothing about it, it's the help that you can really, really help people with their businesses for. I'm generally not going to choose the wrong photo of a dog being like, right, or something like that. I'm going to know the text that you need. I'm going to know all your business pain points. So I'm going to be able to advise on if that title's right or not as well. So niching, and I don't read so much about this, but niching is about the help that you can give people as well, and how that's turbocharged.
You know what they need before they even think about it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love it. So I want to take you to the beginning, Rosie, in terms of how you were delivering projects. What were you doing before you started using Atarimo? How did your project workflow look like? How long did it take to get a project going or complete?
So in the beginning, I was purely doing bespoke websites, a little bit like everybody. I didn't know any other way of doing it. I hadn't read of anybody doing anything else. So I was just doing bespoke work, and I would do a quote, which would take hours because I would procrastinate about it and make 100 cups of tea and put the washing out because it was just really boring, because it's writing out a quote, not playing with colors and fonts and things. So I would quote and they would go, yes, please, Rosie. And I go, amazing, thank you very much. And I'd book them on board, and, you know, I do the whole Google Docs thing, which I still do now, but slightly differently. And yeah, it just stretched the whole project out, the whole process of booking in and everything. And then they'd go away and write their copy, and just like everybody else, I'd be going, da, 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 right, like, just go and do that. Okay, I'll just wait. And I'd sit here and I would be like, how can I help you do? I'm no copywriter. In fact, it's in my contract. Rosie is not a copywriter. All copy needs to be edited and checked, because I'm not at all. So yeah, it's same old, really, you know. That's how it was. 6 months later, oh, we've got a website. Amazing. Not helpful at all to them or me.
So the average time was basically 6 months, just taking them from all of the steps. But I imagine that most of the time, or like months out of this, was just waiting, right?
Yeah.
Just like sitting around waiting, trying to fill up the pipeline with other projects while you wait. And then, 3 clients come in at the same week with everything. So you gotta, work on the weekends to finish it up. Yeah. Classic, that's the classic kind of flow that I had myself for a couple of years. What were the problems or the challenges that you would describe looking back into that workflow, even when you were experiencing them at the time? Did it make sense to you that it's taking 6 months?
I don't know what you mean. Did it make sense? Yeah, it made sense. I know how difficult it is for them to sit down in front of a blank page.
Right.
I bought a few things like, oh, this is a content workbook that you can give your clients. This is this. I was trying to help, but I can't physically sit them down and get them to do it. So it does make sense to me. And I was never, I'm never annoyed with people. I'm a master juggler. And also, when you're dealing with small business owners, life happens. And, we're adding in pets and animals and things like that as well. So we might get, oh, Rosie, I was going to do this for you, but I've had to take my dog to the vet. So, of course, I'm not one of those people that is like, oh, my God. And luckily, I did have a steady flow of clients coming in. So it worked okay. It wasn't ideal. But what do you do? What do? You just carry on as best you can whilst trying to support your clients to get your content over to you as best you can as well, to make it work well for them and for you. But it's not ideal, right? It's not a process that made me happy. Let's put it that way.
I'm sure it was a bit of a pain for them as well, because just staring at that blank sheet, if you don't know what you're doing, there's like really like you're saying, it's just, let's go and get another cup of tea, let's go and do the washing, and start procrastinating, and the sheet stays blank. So how did you try to solve it? What were your approaches, and how did you try to help them pass this challenge?
So I looked at a bit of software that was out there at the time, but it looked to me like it was too clunky, and they would have had to have signed into it. There were a few different bits and pieces. I'm not talking about anything in specific, but there were a couple of things that were just starting to come out, because this was, a few years back now, but they were clunky, and they would have had to have logged into something. And I just looked at it and I'm like, that's just going to take me more time, and then they're going to have to log in, and it's all. So I never went down that route. The best thing that I found was a Google folder with a document for each page, and I could write advice on it, So it was kind of my own bespoke system in a way, but it meant that I could tailor it to them, and I could put suggestions on each page, and I could give examples of, if I sent. And you could have your templates, can't you, in Google Docs? So you duplicate. If it's a dog trainer, you say, go and look at this, get some ideas, So that was kind of the best thing that I came up with, really, because I'm just aware that, it's a big thing for people to book a website, a big thing for a small business. And it's really difficult because you're charging them money, and then you're making them go and do work as well. So you don't want to make it like, I want it to be fun and happy and enjoyable. I don't want it to be stressful. So I'm I'm very aware all the time when I'm doing things for clients, and especially for Woof Club, that I'm trying to help and simplify, not add another layer of chaos to their day. So
I love that. So instead of adding complexity, you're just trying to consume the complication for them.
yeah.
Um, and solving it with Google Docs is one of the most common, or trying to solve it with Google Docs, one of more common approaches. But then they don't have the visual representation of what is really expected of them. So we can picture in our mind how the end result is going to look like. But to them, even with some instructions, sometimes you get like you want that one liner and you get like 3 paragraphs for this, and then you need to extract it from there. So I try that as well. And so how would you kind of describe the frustration of delivering the project as a whole for the client and for you, going from day one all the way to 6 months, and finally pushing it to live? Was there like were there any challenges along the way that you remember, or you kind of felt that something has to be done?
Were there any challenges along the way? I don't know. I think it's just everything that we've talked about generally, and just me trying to solve it all the time. But there is no way of solving it particularly. Do you know what I mean? And as you say, I fully appreciate that they're sitting in front of a blank page, and I always reassure them, and I still do now. If if we are using a Google document now for some reason, because sometimes projects still require that,
Right.
I'm like, don't worry about what you're writing. It's my job to take it and design it and everything. So you just write what you need to. But as you say, like, even with all the advice and everything, it's difficult, isn't it? Because the visual is missing.
Right. Yeah, they don't have that picture.
Mm.
And so, how did you first hear about us, about Atarim?
So you were WP Feedback at the time, and you launched. I can't quite remember where I was living. I think I was living down here, and I think I can't remember how many years ago was it now. Am I getting really old and my brain's just
2.5 years ago.
Is that all? It feels like it was about 5 or 6 years ago.
Tell me about it.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh my God. Okay, so I just saw it. I don't know where. I don't know if Andrew sent an email round, or maybe I saw it in a Facebook group or something. But I saw it once, looked at it and went, and I started seeing it everywhere. And when I went and looked at it properly, and you give it some time at the weekend when you're on the sofa, and I remember watching the videos, and obviously it's very different to how it is now, but I was like, this is just a complete game changer. And I knew immediately that I wanted it, it was going to work, and I just went for it. I just jumped straight in because I just knew. I think I do that with technology. If that something's new is coming out, I know whether I'm going to jump on it and it's going to be amazing or not.
Right.
I just have a gut feeling with these things, only with regards to my process and knowing how my business works and everything. I mean, I can see other great projects and go, no, that's not a good fit for me. But this was like, it was like birds flying over, and the sun came out and there was a rainbow, and it was like, ah! Do you know what I mean? Because I think if it was, so what month was it? Was it before lockdown then?
Yeah, it was in May of 2019.
Okay, that's really interesting. So about that time, because I was thinking about doing this productized service properly about that time before, longer, but I hadn't thought about the specifics of it. But I was thinking about it seriously about a year before. So what will have happened is I was thinking about this templated productized service that I wanted to offer, but I wasn't sure how to do it. And I was looking at everything. How can I do this? And all, all those things that you research and everything. So that's what happened. I think I was thinking about that. WP Feedback, now Atarimo, came out, and I was like, genius, because sometimes these things happen, right? Sometimes when you're planning to do something else is launched, and it's like, the synergy is just incredible. It's just happened with something else as well, actually. So yeah, I do believe sometimes these things happen. So that's what happened, and I just jumped on it straight away. That was it, right from the off. I was in there.
Amazing. So how was the so let's talk a little bit about this productized service
Yeah.
approach. What kind of made you look into this direction? I told you just before we started that we hit the record button that if I would to go back to running my agency, I would either do like a WAS or do a productized service approach. So I'm really interested in hearing what kind of intrigued you in this model, and how has this been panning out for you?
So it intrigued me because I saw a couple of other people doing it, big people in America. And I think with and Ready, it's called Ready Steady Woof, because I'm Woof Design. So I called it Ready Steady Woof. And it was originally intended to be a full, huge WAS with, I remember looking one Black Friday at like multi-site and WP Ultima and all of that. But my gut feeling wasn't in it. I was like, no, this is too, I don't want to do this yet. It's not quite right. Let's do a sort of middle of the way to see how it goes and see what people want. And then we can always do that afterwards. Right. So, but I knew, so I always think productized services work really well when you know your audience inside out and you make it into a product, don't you? So you can't offer, something for everybody. It's got to be something very, very specific. So this isn't to do with e-com or anything like that. This was very specifically, it was originally, it has changed in incarnation. It was for walkers, dog walkers, nobody else. It's for dog walkers. Because I'm like, right, I know exactly what they want. They pretty much all have the same page structure. They all need this, they all need that, blah, 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 blah. So I can offer it as a product. I've expanded.
I'd also imagine that maybe I'm wrong, but I would think that they are kind of on the lower spectrum of the budget.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's fine because they haven't got so much of a they haven't got loads of booking systems or content.
Yeah.
They generally
they don't scalable thing.
Yeah, they don't need to blog or anything. They're out walking. So right. the important thing for the dog walkers, the groomers, the trainers have a bit more stuff on, but all of them, the important thing is the local SEO and including that, because there's so many people that weren't doing that. And right from the off, that was really important for me to include for people, because I'm not making them a useless website. It's just, I don't want to do that. It's got to work for you. So, they're at the, they've got less budget to spend, but I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. So I had 3 templates. They were called Patch, Indie, and Fido. And I made 3 templates of my own, and I offered them, and I had a few people take me up on it, and that worked really brilliantly. And then I realized, and then my trainers and groomers were coming along and going, can I have one as well? And I'm like, yeah, actually you can. This would work really well for you guys. And then I realized that actually people don't want to fit to a design. So it's not so important in that bit. So I kind of scrapped the templates, and now I just have my own templates that I use, and I don't really even market it as a templated system anymore. I just market it as quick, affordable, and effective, because that's what it is. And really, my clients, they don't need to know that I've built this system and it works really well, and that means why I can do it cheaper. And it's neither here nor there to them,
True. So, yeah, they focus on the result. That's brilliant. Yeah. So you just talk about what they want. They want it fast, quick, affordable, straight to the point. Yeah. And if it means using a template, so be it. That's your process to build. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. And they look bespoke. They've all got their own logos, their own feel, their own patterns. I didn't have that at first, but I realized it was important to them. So I'm like, okay, let's scrap the designy bit. We'll do our own design. So I played around with the prices for a little bit, but I'm set on something now that I'm super comfortable with. And it looks like them, because I didn't want to give them just a cookie cutter website either, really, And I was changing so much anyway, just because I wanted to do a really good job for them. So yeah, that's how it came about. And it came about at the beginning of lockdown, because I suddenly got really, really busy, because obviously everybody wanted to be online. And I'm like, right, if ever there was a time to go for it, Rosie. So I literally cloned my own Woof Design website, hacked it about a bit, put my templates up, and went, right, let's do it. there's no, Ready Steady Woof has no logo, no branding, anything like that. And it could do with a bit of facelift itself, bless it. But the work speaks for itself. The portfolio page is full and everybody loves it. So, yeah.
And so, how does the process of collaborating with clients through our system works within this new model?
Yeah, so this is really interesting. Excuse me. So at first I used it purely for content gathering, and it worked. It just made everything just, oh my God, it was just insane. So I used it because I had the templates. That's right, I had the templates. So I would clone it over and they'd have their own bubbles. Oh, so firstly, we call it the bubbles with clients because I wanted to make it nice and super friendly and easy for them to relate to. So yeah, so yeah, because they don't, I show it to them on the website if they want. I don't hide anything. I'm very transparent with them all, but we call it the bubbles so it's easier. So I used it to gather content, and it shrunk the process of doing these websites like crazy amounts. I think the quickest we've done is a week, maybe even a weekend, a few days, a few of them go through as quickly as that. Some of them go through a bit longer because maybe somebody's got a family drama or something's going on, or, they're out all week. And do you know what I mean? Life things. Yeah. But literally shrunk the time space that these websites took down from a bespoke, 6 months down to a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maximum 6 weeks, like literally tops. So it was my brain it worked how I hoped it would work. When you plan things out, I was like, yes, it's working. This is amazing. And I think they really enjoyed it as well. They really, really loved it. I've stopped at the moment content gathering with it because I had to tweak it a bit for the walkers, groomers, trainers. But my thing for 2022 is to go back to use it for content gathering as well. At the moment, I'm only using it for care plan edits, but I want to get back to using it for content gathering because it's just amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. And having not had using it for content gathering for a few months while I sort things out, what a difference. Crazy difference.
Right. So that's something that a lot of times we don't really realize until we get used to a process and then we just take it for granted. And so it's really interesting that you kind of paused on this stage in the process, because then it really allows you to see the impact.
Yes.
So what have you seen? What is the kind of difference just on that step? We're going to go to talk about the care plans, but just from that step, going back to Google Docs, I assume, or something like that, compared to how it was before, what is the client's experience and so on?
I think we're just back to the same old. I'm looking at my list now. We're back to a waiting list. I'm like, okay, Google Docs, and I'm sending them things, and it's back to the old, which is why I'm like, oh my God, okay, I've sorted out the packages, I've sorted out what we're doing, let's get the bubbles back on, because this is just crazy, and you're right. I think it takes a pause to make you appreciate and to make you go, okay, that is right, because sometimes we carry on, don't we? So yeah. I think that pause has really made me like, okay, I'm going to get this finished by the end. I'm going to do this by 2020, the end of the year. That's fine. That's all booked up. But next year, this is what we're going to do. Because it makes the process so much simpler, easier, more fluid. It just feels easy, it just, I don't know how to explain it, but I haven't got my adjectives today, some really good adjectives for you, I should do. But it's just, it just feels really easy and really doable, So I'm looking forward to going back to it. And the other thing is as well, talking about using it for content gathering, I use Atarimo, or the bubbles as I do, as a marketing tool as well. I make videos for I'm lucky to have quite an engaged audience on my Facebook page, and I make videos and use it as a This is how quick and easy it is. This is how we do this. This is all you have to do. This is all you have to click. This is how I show you this, and this. So it's actually part of my marketing, because I feel like it is a really huge thing. It's a great part of the system, and why shouldn't I shout about it? I know some people don't like shouting about tools, but I'm like, I've got this really amazing thing. It's going to make your life really easy, really fun, and it's going to get your project done in like double quick time. What's not to love? I told somebody. Go on, sorry.
Yes, please go on.
I told a new client about it the other day. It's slightly different, bigger project, and it's lovely to see the reaction when I explained it. She was like, I love, and I'm like, yeah, I know, right? And it's lovely to be able to offer that to people, Yeah.
So it kind of makes it, and I think that was one of the key things that we saw when we first started using it internally, even within my agency. It gamified the experience for the client. So it wasn't so much of like building the proposal and going off to get a cup of tea. It's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Let's just click here. You know what? Let me just click here as well. And you kind of get into the game of it, instead of it becoming a chore, as it is in most cases. And so let's go to the care plans part of it, because I know that a lot of people that are watching us, they believe, or they were led to believe, that email is the only way, right? That you have to go through those back and forths with the client and really try to pinpoint with multiple like cycles of communication just to get them to understand something. So, or just so that we can understand what they want, So how is that being used on the care plan flow, and for the edits, and for encouraging the clients to actually utilize it?
How it's do I use email for edits? I don't think so much. I mean, there's a bit of training that goes on with them. They like emailing, don't they? So we do try and move them over. I guess if it's a new page or something like that, then they get in touch with me to say, can I have a new page? And I say, yeah, no problem, go and make it. And then the bubbles are on there for them. But generally, I think they quite like the bubbles, because they know that I get pinged on the other end. They've sent them through. I had some the other day, and it was sort of, can you do this and can you do this? But I was confused about where it was on the page and which service we were deleting. And I said, oh, do me a favor, just go and pop this on the bubbles for me. And they did, and it was done, So it's a perfect example, really, of how, again, everything just runs smoother, and it's more time efficient, I think it's all of these processes. It's all about saving time for both sides. Like an email exchange, it's like, oh God, and I like having spare time so that I can ring my clients or have a chat with them. I have a lot of chats with my clients, about, can we do this? Can we do that? I keep up with them and their business and everything. And I like to be, I know it's not for everybody, but I really like to have that with my clients. I'm quite a proactive website designer rather than a passive website designer. So it's important to me to keep up with their businesses and what's going on and everything, so that I can help as much as possible. That said, if somebody disappears for 3 to 6 months, then that's absolutely fine. As far as I'm concerned, they're running their business and I'm keeping an eye on them on Facebook, and they're doing this and doing that. And I'm like, brilliant, leave them to it. They don't need it. But I'm there if they need support, So all of these things that save so much time are brilliant, because it frees me up to do things like that, which is lovely to be able to do, right?
Yeah, that's great. Instead of dealing with back and forth and chasing and follow-ups, and all the communications are positive, instead of being like the teacher, or the mom, like, come on, you gotta get it done, clean your room. So as we're kind of approaching the end of this session, I wanted to ask you a little bit about because I know the people that are watching us right now, they're kind of on the fence, and they're just about to make that decision. So I want to ask you, why did you decide on using Atarimo? What kicked you over the fence, so to speak, when it comes to using our system?
I don't think anything kicked me over the fence. I literally saw it straight. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I just saw it and went for it because I just knew. I just knew that it was, and obviously I'm a bit of a fangirl about it because without it, would I have grown my business to how it is? I don't know, maybe, but it would have maybe taken me longer. It's been a huge component of everything. It really has. And I think that's something that I'm hugely grateful for, that somebody has had the same problem and been out and built some software to help with that problem. It's huge and it's super helpful. I'm all for investing in my business. I'm not afraid to spend money on tools and systems if I think they can help. That's not, I don't have tons and tons of things, but for the right thing, I will invest. And this has absolutely been the right thing. It's just brilliant. Myself and the clients, we love the bubbles, and that's it, really.
That's awesome. So who do you think this is going to be like a good fit for? Because there's all kinds of people that might be watching it, different stages of their journey. And I know that you've gone through a journey from being a freelancer. Now you have a small team that you're also running as well. So what do you think, like where in the journey from a freelancer to an agency or in between, do you think our system would work best?
I've got no idea. Well, I used it when I was on my own, and that was great. And as you say, now I've got people and we use it together. So we use it as a team thing. So I don't know. Does it depend on the amount of people that you're working with? I don't know. I don't think it does. I think it's more, to me, it's more a systems and a processes thing. And I think all website designers, whether you're right at the beginning, because obviously we're all in the groups and we're all chatting website design and everything like that. But I think it's natural for all of us to think about our businesses and how we can best serve people. That's what I'm all about. How can I best serve my clients and customers? What can I do for them? And I think we all do it as well. You see all the posts in the groups, don't you? And you want to make it easier and you want to make the process really fun and enjoyable for them and not take 6 months and only take a week. And, so I don't think it's a freelance or an agency thing at all. I think it's more about if you're looking at your systems and you're looking at your processes and how to provide a really great service, how to help people and how to help yourself as well, then I would say that's it. So it's for everyone, really.
Right. Okay. Awesome. And with someone listening to us right now, why should they take action right now, this minute?
That's a bizarre question. Why should they take action right now? Action in what? Going and looking at it?
Yeah, joining us, helping themselves, helping their clients.
I would go. What was the question? Why should they take action right now? Well, because I guess if you take action in 6 months' time, then you're going to have spent those 6 months like spending more time doing things that you could have been doing a lot quicker. So I like getting to something really later down the line and going, damn, if only I'd have had this for the last year, I could have saved so much time. I guess everybody gets to things when they do. That's natural, isn't it? We all come to things when we're meant to come to them. I'm a true believer in that in our journey. But I'm also a big believer in going and researching and looking at things. So I think if anybody's watching and you're kind of thinking about it, then it's definitely worth looking at it in terms of what are you offering? What are you doing? It's not even can I fit this into my business? It does. If you're a website designer, it totally fits into your business. So if you want to be saving yourself time, then yeah, crazy not to, right?
Right. I'm with you.
I feel like
And
I'm preaching to the converted here because I'm talking to you.
yeah, well, that's good because there's the purpose of these sessions is to share the experience of our users or our successful users like yourself, Rosie, and to try and show people that there is a better way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we are deep in the work and we send out these Google Docs and we send another one, we send another one, it's just kind of like, okay, this is how I do it. It is perceived to be the cost of being in business to wait 6 months or to follow up on the client or to just battle it out until the project ends instead of just figuring out what does really work. So I appreciate that.
I think the other thing as well, Vito, is sometimes when we look at new software, it can seem a bit daunting in terms of implementing.
Right.
And, especially when it's a bit of a biggie, and you kind of think, oh God, this is just going to take me hours to set up, hours to learn how to use. It's a bit like when we're all looking at project management software. It's like, oh God, have I really got the time to spend, So
Yeah.
I think if I really wanted to say something to people, it doesn't take long to set up. It's really quick and easy to learn how to use, and it's very, very quick to implement into your system. And also your clients will love you for it as well. And I think that's the key thing. And it doesn't take them long to pick it up. Believe me, I've got some really non-techie clients who I love. I'm not afraid of non-techie clients. They're like, oh, I'm really non-techie. And I'm like, it's absolutely fine. So when you're building a website, usually we're building it on a staging site or a dev URL, right? So you can install it and they don't even have to log into the website to use it, which is fantastic. You can just put it on there. They don't have to do anything. They find it miraculous that they can just go to this. Well, firstly, you've made them a website. They're like, oh my God, is that me? Oh my God, I love it. And then secondly, I'm like, right, all you have to do is click that button and you can tell me whatever you want to on the page. It's like magic. They love it. They absolutely love it. So it's not, and then obviously when you put it onto a live site, they do have to log in to use it. But by that point, they're a bit more sort of like, maybe they're logging into blog or something like that. So they're a bit more used to it. But it's super, super quick and easy to implement, I found, with my clients anyway. And yeah, even the non-techie ones were like, brilliant. So yeah.
And so, Rosie, what would be your number one piece of advice for agencies as a whole, from your experience and your journey over the past few years? What would be the one thing that you would want people to tell you when you first started?
What would be the one thing? Oh my lordy, what would be the one thing that I wanted people to tell me? That it's okay not to chase the big clients.
I love that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, for me, I kind of felt it. Be comfortable with who you're serving. It doesn't matter if you're comfortable making a small website for somebody with a smaller budget. Don't be persuaded or feel bad for all these people in the groups who are like, you must charge more, you must charge 10 grand, you're nothing if you're not doubling your money. Ignore them. Be true to who you are. Obviously charge what you're worth. Be comfortable. Don't do it for nothing. Make your money. It's a business. You've got bills and mortgage to pay, but don't believe the hype everywhere.
I love that. So, Rosie, where can people find a little more about you and Wolf Design?
So I'm at Woof Design, WUF design.co.uk. And then Ready Steady Woof is readysteadywoof.co.uk, because it got so big, it got its own home.
That's great. Thanks for joining me, and it was really interesting. And I appreciate you being on board with us and being active in our group as well. And yeah, just thanks for sharing your story, Rosie.
Well, thank you for making WP Feedback now Atarimo. It's been a joy.
Awesome.
Thanks, Vito.